Big Africa Female Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program. We kicked off the session a few weeks ago, and we had our go-to-market strategy training last week. And this will be the first coaching session, which very soon I will introduce Daniel. So before then, I would just want us, for the sake of getting to know ourselves, to just have like a brief introduction. Maybe just say your name, your business, just the name, and also where you are located. So I will just start, and we'll go around from people that are in already. So my name is Francis. Who's that? You can't hear me? Okay. All right. So my name is Francis Moroje from Project Assistant at Big Africa. I am located in Tanzania. So I will go. I'll call Mihanta. Mihanta, can you introduce yourself? Mihanta, are you there? Oh, Lydia. Lydia, are you there? Lydia? Anyone that is available, that is you can.
Francis, I think you need to give people permission to unmute themselves.
Oh, David.
Yes, I think they can unmute themselves. Can you try?
I believe only the co-host can.
From the participants.
Hey, it's Lydia.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Lydia.
Yeah, I'm from Addis, Ethiopia, Addis Ababa.
Thank you, Lydia.
Oh, okay. I'm Mianta Ramanantsu from Madagascar, and my brand is called Mianta Cosmetic Natural Luxury Brand, from Madagascar. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much. Then Meron. Yes, Meron. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. This is Meron from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
What do you do?
I make leather products, and my brand name is Mahon, which means being.
All right. Thank you. Anna? Anna, are you there? Not yet. Shamsa?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm Saounj from Madagascar, and I'm making candles.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think we'll just get going. I think from this session, because of time, Daniela could maybe engage for, I'm sure, maybe from activities. So for today, we are starting with the intro to the coaching. So it could be like a general session. Then after that, maybe in the follow-on sessions, it could be maybe breakout sessions or individual coaching. So that will be determined by Danielle. So I will give the session, the platform to Danielle. I would like her to introduce herself and tell us what she does and also get to connect with the entrepreneurs. You're welcome, Danielle.
Great. Thank you so much, Francis. Welcome, ladies, to the first coaching session for the BIC Africa Accelerator Program for Women Entrepreneurs. I'm super excited to be here with you to help you grow your businesses and to support you in overcoming any challenges that you're facing during the course of this program. As Francis mentioned, today's session is going to be a little bit broad, but we will be getting more specific in the weeks and months that come and possibly be breaking you into different groups based on your industry or perhaps based on your country location. We'll determine that as we go along. So a brief introduction from me. So my name is Danielle Anderson. I am a business coach and strategy consultant. I've been working in this space for 10 years. I started my business Step and Stone back in 2013 when I was living in London, but I relocated permanently to Nairobi, Kenya in 2017. And since that time, I've been supporting women entrepreneurs around the region and helping them to get focused, get confident, and ultimately get customers. So once again, welcome. For those of you who weren't able to introduce yourselves on orally, please drop it into the chat. Let me know what your names are. Let me know where you're joining us from and a small bit about your business. I'm sure I'll learn more about you in the weeks that come, but just as a preliminary introduction. So before we get going, I just want to remind you all to turn off all of your distractions, put your phones on silent, or even better, turn them off completely, whatever it is that you really need to do to be present, and really dedicate the next hour and a half to yourself and to your business. Interact as much as possible with the content and allow yourself to be vulnerable. I'm really here to support you throughout this journey, and I want you ladies to start supporting each other too. Everything that we share in these sessions is going to remain confidential. So please do lean on each other for support and encouragement. And there's going to be opportunities for you to jump in and share some things. There will also be times, maybe not today, but in future sessions where I unmute you and ask you to speak to me personally. So this is really an opportunity for you to use my expertise and also to learn from one another. So really just be present and encourage each other, support each other, and lean on each other for that, that encouragement that you all understand the journey that you're going through. Entrepreneurship can be great sometimes, and it can be really horrible at other times. And we're all in this together. I know what it's like to be in your shoes. I run my own business as well. So as I said, today's session is going to be quite broad, but in the future, we'll get much more specific based on the exact needs that you have. Okay. So we've already done a little bit of introductions. As I mentioned, if you haven't had a chance to introduce yourself, please feel free to pop that into the chat. I see Fatma has done so from Somalia. So hi, Fatma. And anyone else who wants to share who they are, where they're from, and what they're doing in business, that would be great. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Francis and Dawood have shared a workbook with you in advance of this session, so feel free to print that out and to write on it while we go through. Alternatively, you can just get a pen and paper, or you could just type on your laptops, whatever works best for you in this moment. I'm not going to be prescriptive in telling you that you must do things in a certain way. All right. So our first session today is around being authentic. And what do I mean by this? Basically, if I asked each of you ladies individually about what it is that you want out of your business, what you want your business to look like in a few years' time, and even what you want your life to look like in a few years' time, each and every one of you will have an entirely different answer. So, for example, in my business, I always knew that I wanted it to allow me to have a little bit more of a flexible schedule so that I wasn't stuck behind a desk for 10 or 12 hours a day. I wanted my business to allow me to be location independent so that I could still go to the US and visit family, still be in London where I was living at the time when I started my business and run my business from there, but also work with clients in other locations if I wanted to. And ultimately, I wanted to be able to run my business from anywhere, which is what allowed me to come to Kenya initially in 2017 and restart things here. So I knew I wanted my business to provide me with that location independence. And I also knew that I wanted my business to provide me with a certain type of lifestyle, one that allows me to only work 4 days a week, one that allows me to take a holiday every so often, or to have longer trips to places like the US or Europe, as I mentioned, or even to explore other places, and one that ultimately gives me the freedom to do other things in my life that are important to me. My business needs to be able to provide for my life and the lifestyle that I want to have, and the lifestyle that I want to ultimately create in the future, which might look different from how it does now. Okay, so each of us will have a completely different, different definition of what we want, of what that looks like. So being authentic is the first step in really building your business. It means that you understand who you are. It means that that you know what it is that you're trying to create and what other things are important to you. And so that as you're making decisions along the way, all of those things are in mind. So for example, let me go back to mine. If I were saying that I wanted to be location independent, and yet every single one of my clients required me to come into their office Monday to Friday in Nairobi, then I don't have a business that's location independent. So I have to physically be on site with the client at all times, all right? Similarly, if you want to build a business that allows you to spend school holidays with your children full time, then you need to have some flexibility that allows you to do that. Or you have to have a team that supports you in doing that, so that you can have the time off because there's other people that are doing work for you or even delivering things for you. Sorry, I see a message come up in the chat. So if any of you are not following along, I know that for a lot of you, English is not your first language. So if I'm speaking too fast or something isn't clear, please just let me know in the chat and I will happily slow down, okay? Actually, I'll slow down anyway, but if at any point you don't understand, just interrupt me, okay? All right, so being really clear about who you are, what it is that you want, and what you want your business to look like is ultimately going to impact every single decision that you make along the way. It will tell you what type of customers to work with. It will tell you what type of hours you want to work, what types of locations you need to be present in, and it will tell you other decisions that you have to make during some of these other points in your entrepreneurship journey. Okay, so today is really about being authentic to yourself and what it is that you want. The way that we're going to go through this is that I am going to be asking you a series of questions. And for each of the questions, I would like you to write down your answers to those questions. You don't have to share anything in the chat with us until the very end when I prompt you. These questions are for your eyes only. Now, to avoid overthinking the questions, I'm going to have a strict 3-minute timer on each of them. I want you to just write down whatever your gut tells you to write down. I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to cross things out. Just allow yourself to be unfiltered for those 2 minutes. And of course, if you want to cheat and come back to the questions later, you can definitely do that when we share the recording with you, and plus you have access to the notebook, or the workbook rather. Okay, so if you have questions at any point in time, please put them into the chat and I'll answer them at an appropriate time. This is mostly going to be a silent coaching session where you're really just reflecting on your own answers to these upcoming questions I'm about to start asking you. All right, so everyone take a deep breath. Get your pen and paper ready or put your fingers on the keyboard, and here we go. The first question that I'd like you to answer for yourselves is, what do you want out of life? What do you want out of life? Okay, the next question. Oops, I lost my mouse. The next question, what do you want from your business? What should your business give to you? Remember, I shared with you that I needed mine to be location independent. I wanted it to give me flexibility. I wanted to give me time, a bit of freedom. So what do you want from your business? What should it give to you? Okay, next question. What's most important to you? Now, this can be in life or in business, but what are some of the things that are the most important to you? Next question. What inspires you? What inspires you? Next question. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do the work that you do? And you can start this answer by saying, I do what I do because ... So why do you do what you do? Oops. Next question. What do you most love doing in your business? Now, you are not going to love every part of being an entrepreneur. There's going to be some things that you actually despise doing. So what do you most love doing in your business? For those of you who are joining us late, I just want to give a little bit of a brief background of what we're doing. So I'm taking you through a series of questions to help you to really become more authentic in who you are as a business owner and understand what is important to you, what is motivating you, what is driving you. So I'll be asking you a question and then I give you 3 minutes to write down your answers to those questions, okay? So what do you most love doing in your business? Next question. What role do you want to play in your business? Now, I get it. In the beginning, when you're starting out, you probably have to do everything. You may not have anyone who's really helping you. And if you do, you're still in control of a lot of those activities. So even think into the future. What role do you most want to play in your business? And you can add to that and answer why as well. Why do you want to play that role? Maybe you're naturally good at it. Maybe it excites you. Maybe it interests you. Maybe it's an area you want to learn more about. Whatever the reason is, what role do you want to play in your business and why? Okay, next question. What does your business look like in 3 years? What does your business look like in 3 years? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? And this can be both you as an individual and also what you want your business to be known for. Next question. What does your business do for others? And here I want you to dig deeper than just the product or service that you're selling. I want you to really think about what problem is it solving for people? What does it do for other people? So for example, in my business, not only am I teaching business skills, so that's the service that I'm giving to them, but I'm also giving them confidence. I'm giving them clarity. I'm giving them time management so that they can have better work-life balance and boundaries, which gives them freedom. So think beneath the product or service and more broadly about what does your business do for others? What problems does it solve? So Lydia, can you share a little bit about your business in the chat?
My business, I make hand-woven accessories.
Uh-huh.
So I specifically focus on home and fashion accessories. They are
Okay.
all hand-woven.
Hand woven.
Hand-woven, yeah.
Okay.
So I use local techniques or traditional techniques and like to make modern and functional products.
Okay, perfect. So you're obviously giving products to your customers. You know, that's the obvious part, is that you're providing them with these home goods, right? These fashionable accessories for their home. But
Yeah.
when you think beneath the product, you're also giving them other things. So you're giving them, maybe you're giving them convenience. Maybe you're giving them aesthetically beautiful stuff. Maybe you're giving them locally sourced materials. You know, when you think about maybe the problems that you're solving for that person, they want to have these beautiful things in their home without maybe getting them outside of Ethiopia, or maybe they want specific textiles. So it's not just about the product itself, but you're trying to dig underneath that a little bit, whether it be convenience or aesthetic or fashion or luxury in some instances. Those would be some of the other things that your business might be doing.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So I'll give you all like about 30 more seconds for that, in case anyone else was a bit stuck, so that you can answer that question. Okay, next question. Who is your ideal customer? Who is your ideal customer? Now, one of the challenges that most business owners run into is that they think they can sell to everybody. They're very reluctant to choose an ideal customer or a persona because they feel as though putting that out there is going to limit the amount of business that they can bring in. But in fact, the opposite is true. The more that you try to be in business for everyone, the harder it becomes because everything that you're doing is not very clear. So you might be using the wrong marketing messages. You might be advertising in the wrong places. You might have a physical shop in the wrong location. So who is your ideal customer? Now, when you think about who this person is, maybe it's someone that you worked with before or sold to before who you absolutely loved for a ton of different reasons. Or maybe it's someone who you aspire to work with, and try to be really specific with this person. So perhaps it's a woman of a certain age group, but don't just say that she lives in your city, like that she's in Mogadishu or she's in Addis Ababa, but be even more specific in the neighborhood that she lives in, because perhaps she's of a particular demographic or socioeconomic class. So be as specific as you possibly can be with this person, and take a few moments to answer, who is your ideal customer? Okay, next question. What does your life look like in 3 years? What do you want your life to look like in 3 years? So maybe this is, you want to live in a particular place, or you want to upgrade your home, or perhaps you want to start a family or grow your family. Maybe you want to be the boss of several different locations. Think about what it is that you truly want, and don't hold back here. You know, you're able to dream big and really think, what does your life look like in 3 years' time? So think about everything that's happening around you, from your relationships to your family life to your home life to, you know, your holidays to the things that you're able to buy for yourself. And take 2 minutes to answer that now. Next question. What does your ideal lifestyle look like? Now, this can also be about your home and your attire and your holidays and things, but think also about maybe what school do you want to send your children to, or what neighborhood do you want to live in, or what do you want to be able to spend every month on leisure activities or social activities? And again, dream big here. I'm not ever going to be the type of person that tells you that you have to restrict your lifestyle in order to be an entrepreneur. Now, yes, sometimes we need to cut our expenses in order to get our businesses going, or maybe we have to put more money of our personal budget into our businesses to weather the storm, or to wait until we start to make revenue. But ultimately, you need to be satisfied with the life that you're living also. So what does your ideal lifestyle look like? And what changes do you need to make to get there? Okay, so take a couple minutes to answer that now. What does your ideal lifestyle look like? And what changes do you need to make to get there? Okay, next question. What stops you from achieving what you want? What stops you from achieving what you want? Maybe there's some mindset blocks that are holding you back. Maybe there's some limited self-beliefs or a lack of confidence. Maybe it's finances. Maybe it is family situations. It can be anything. These are all very personal questions. So take a couple minutes to consider what stops you from achieving what you want. Okay, next question. What scares you about achieving what you want? Now, sometimes we have a fear of success, or we have a fear of losing things once we have them. So whatever this means for you, take a couple of minutes to answer this question. What scares you about achieving what you want? And that can be in life and in business. Okay, next question. How do you want your customers to feel? How do you want your customers to feel? Now, again, going back to the example for my business, I want my customers to feel empowered. I want them to feel confident. I want them to feel prepared. I want them to feel as though they can achieve anything that they want in their business. I want them to feel motivated. So these are a couple of things that I want for my customers. It's probably going to be different for yours. If you're a product-based business, you might want them to feel luxurious. You might want them to feel elegant. You might want them to feel fashionable. You might want them to feel indulged. Okay, so take a couple minutes to consider, how do you want your customers to feel? It could also be things that aren't related to your products or services. So maybe you just want them to feel satisfied or happy or appreciative. So just in their interaction with you, there might be some other things that you want them to feel as well. All right. Okay, next question. What do you want your customers to say about you? So think about when they're talking to other people about your business or about you as the business owner. What do you want them to be saying about you? And it can also be about your products or services. What sort of language do you want them to be using about you? Take 2 minutes to answer that now. Okay, and the final question for this section, what are your top 3 business goals for the year ahead? So think about yourself on the 1st of July, 2023. What would you like to have achieved by this time next year? What are your top 3 business goals for the year ahead? Okay, great. Take a pause now. Take a pause from your pen, from your paper, from writing. And I would love you now to share your goals in the chat. So those 3 goals that you just came up with, pop them into the chat. Let's see what they are. I'll give you all a couple minutes to type inside of there. So Lydia shares to open a store in Addis, to set a workshop and brand recognizability. Ketura, I apologize if I said your name wrong, Ketura. Goals number 1, I want to be able to operate from a physical space. Great. And to have her brand expanded. Alina, in a few years' time, organize a national tour. And Ketura shares number 3, to be able to mentor other young business women to also thrive in their business. Great. Marone expanding the business. Mihanta to ensure the success of its duty-free establishment and to comply with HI. What's HI? Maybe that you got cut off. Okay, perfect. So high quality international standards, great. Alina to get an Indian Ocean partner. Shamsa shares to improve our marketing, to maximize our customers, and to expand our services like adding bridal clothes. Awesome. Okay, these are great. Keep them coming, ladies. Let's see what else you have. I think there's a few of you who still haven't shared. But this is also just a great opportunity to get you to know more about each other, to know what you're working towards, and to take your hands away from the paper and to rest your fingers before we get into the next section. So I'll give you 1 more minute to share in the chat, and then we'll move on to the next part of today's session. And Mahanta, goal number 3, to find reliable partners abroad for export. That's great. Yeah. Okay, ladies, perfect. Feel free to keep sharing as we go. We're going to move on to the next section just to really respect your time. Now I want us to examine each of these goals in more detail, okay? So for each of these goals, you're going to answer, again, now back to yourself, you don't have to put this into the chat, but for each goal, I want you to write down your answer to these few questions, okay? So the first is, why is this goal important to you? All right, so for each of them, you want to answer, why is it important? The next question you'll answer is, how will you know that you succeeded? How will you know that you succeeded in reaching this goal? So for some of you, with like opening up a physical store, it will be obvious to show your success because you'll actually have that physical store. But when you have something like Shamsa, what you've written, improving your marketing or maximizing your customers, how will you know, how will you measure that success? Okay. And then the third thing you want to consider for each of them is, how will you celebrate that success? So often we as women entrepreneurs, we achieve something and then we just move on to the next thing. We have another thing that's waiting for us to start working on or to finish working on. And we don't even take the time to acknowledge how far we've already come. So for each of your goals, I also want you to consider, how will you celebrate that success? Okay. So I'm going to give you all, I'm going to give you 6 minutes for this. So it's basically 2 minutes per question, and you'll be doing this for each of your 3 goals. Okay. So answering each of these questions for each of your goals. You can do this in your workbook or on just a pen and paper. Okay. Maronia, to introduce more sustainability goals to the brand and working on better marketing practices. Awesome. These are awesome goals, ladies. I love them. Okay. So take those 6 minutes now to answer these 3 questions for each of them. And I'll let you know when 2 minutes has passed so that you can move on to the next question if you haven't done so yet. Okay, your first 2 minutes has passed, so move on to the second question if you haven't already. How will you know that you succeeded in reaching each of these goals? Okay, your second set of 2 minutes has finished. So now move on to the final question. How will you celebrate that success? Oops. All right, now let's look at your goals even closer. I want you to take each of your goals in turn, all right? The first thing that you'll do for each of your goals is brain dump all of the components that make up that goal. So, for example, a few of you have mentioned working on better marketing practices. So, with a marketing goal, you might have a component of content planning. You might need to choose what channels you want to be on. You might need to set up the accounts. You may need to assign budget so that you can do advertising. You may want to hire a marketing manager. You may want to do market research. There could be a number of different things that make up the goal of better marketing practices or improving your marketing. Okay, so you want to do that for each of those goals. Brain dump all of the components that make that up. If you're talking about a physical space, maybe you need to find the space, maybe you need to apply for licenses or get approval from city council, maybe you need to get a small business loan or to find the money to pay your rent or a deposit. All of those components will make up your bigger goal. So brain dump those components and ideally keep these tasks that will take no more than 30 minutes each. So if you have something that's going to take you a long time, for example, market research might take you a long time. It might take you several hours. So rather than saying just market research, you can break that down into an even smaller piece and you can say, research 3 companies per week, and that might take you 30 minutes, or 2 companies per week. Okay, so you really want to take all of these components and make sure that they are manageable in size. When they are manageable in size, it really helps to ensure that you actually get them done, because it's difficult as a business owner to find 3 hours to do things, but it's not difficult to find 30 minutes to do things. All right, so take a few minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to brain dump all of the components for all of the goals that you've written down. Okay, let me set my timer. Okay, 5 minutes starts now. Brain dump all of your components. Okay, now that you have all of your components written down, I want you to put them in order. So you may have put them in order thinking as you were writing them, but if you haven't, now's the opportunity to do so. So there will be some things that have to happen first, and then second, and then third, in order for these things to happen, right? So for example, going back to those of you who want to have a physical space, maybe the first thing that you need to do is to confirm your budget. Then the second thing that you need to do is secure the funds. And then the third thing that you need to do is look for a space. So think about the order that everything needs to go in and put them into that order. All right, so I'm going to give you another few minutes to do this, starting now. Okay, take one more minute to put them in order, and then we will move on to the final part of this section. Okay, great. The last thing I want you all to do with your goals is to plan them in. Now, we all get very busy. We have a million things to do. Some of us have kids, some of you even have newborns. And so it's hard to find the time to get all of this stuff done. So I want you to look at all of those components that you've written down. I want you to look at the order that you put them in. And I want you to start thinking about how to plan them in. Now, some of them may not be immediate tasks that you have to get done. So what I would like you to focus on right now is just choosing what are the tasks that you want to get done during the month of July, and when will you actually do them? Okay, so you actually want to block out other commitments. You can say, okay, for July, I want to do these 10 things. And then you can even break them into weekly lists so that in the first week of July, these are the things I want to do. In the second week of July, these are the things that I want to do, etc. And then schedule them in based on your availability. All right. So I'm going to give you another 5 minutes to do this planning process. I want you to really take the time now to look at your calendars, to look at your obligations, and to figure out when you're going to get these things done. So again, focus on the tasks that you want to get done in the next 30 days during the month of July, and then break them into weekly lists and plan them in. Figure out when you're available, when you're going to be available to do these things, and take that time. All right. So take 5 minutes now to start that planning process. And as always, if you have questions, let me know in the chat. So take about 1 more minute to finish that planning process. And then I would love to hear from you again in the chat and let me know what are some of the tasks that you are going to be working on during the month of July to get you closer towards these goals. All right, so take 1 more minute to plan everything and then jump back in the chat and let me know. Okay, so jump in the chat when you can. Let me know what tasks you'll be working on during the month of July. Don't be shy, ladies. If you're stuck, let me know also. Maybe you don't know what the components of your particular goal should be. Maybe you're having trouble with the planning process. Whatever it is that you need, I'm here for you. So if you're feeling stuck, let me know that too. Otherwise, please share some of the tasks that you'll be working on during the month of July. Okay, great. Lydia shares in the first week of July, she wants to do product modifications and look for a workshop space. In the second week of July, do some branding strategies. In the third week of July, marketing strategies, and the fourth week of July, secure budget. That's great. So Lydia, I would even recommend that you break those down into smaller pieces. So maybe you have, and this is just you summarizing them. But for example, in the second week of July, when you're doing branding strategies, like, do you need to find someone to help you with that? Do you already have everything you need to come up with branding strategies? Do you need to involve, do you need to involve other people? Same with marketing, do you need to get other people to help you? Do you have what you need already? So think about those smaller pieces just in case you haven't already, but these are great. Anyone else want to share what their tasks will be over the month of July? It's okay. Mihanta, I'm not sure how much you missed, but you'll always be able to catch it on the replay. But what I was asking the ladies to do was share the tasks that you want to be working on for July. But you may have missed the few steps leading up to this. So if that's the case, don't stress. You can catch it on the replay. But if you did get these other bits, then feel free to jump in the chat and let me know what your tasks are. So feel free to keep sharing your tasks in the chat, but I also now want to open up to questions from you ladies. So maybe you have questions about the activities that we did today. Maybe you have questions about business in general, but in the last 5 minutes that we have together, feel free to either raise your hand and we can take you off mute, or even just to put your questions directly into the chat and I will make sure I answer those for you. Mahanta shared to get the information about standards and to secure her budget. Great. Great, you're welcome. And Mahanta, what I shared when you had been cut off during the power cut is that you want to make sure that you break these down into small pieces. So for example, to get the needed information about standards, are there people that you need to speak to? Do you know who they are? Do you need to maybe do some research on your own? So there might be other pieces of that which are necessary in order for you to get that information. Same with your budget. There might be a few extra steps that you need to add in order to finalize what that budget is for you. So you ladies just want to make sure that you're putting these into as small of pieces as possible, because when they're small, manageable sizes, you're more likely to get them done. As I was sharing a few minutes ago, it's very difficult for us to often get 3 hours to work on something, or even sometimes 1 hour to work on something. So if you can break things into 20-minute tasks or 30-minute tasks, it becomes much easier to get those things done in between other things that you might need to be doing. All right. Any last questions from you ladies? So Lydia says, the question I have is on examining goals, about how we will know when we have succeeded, when the goal is kind of hard to measure. Yeah, so it can be difficult. So let me just scroll back up to your 3, 1 second. So you had open a store and Addis, setting a workshop, and then brand recognizability. So the first 2 are probably quite easy to measure because it's a physical space that you'll have, right? You'll have an open store in Addis and you'll have a workshop set up. It's really the third one that's going to be difficult. So this is now an opportunity for you to set what it would be, what is successful to you. Is it that you have a certain number of followers? Is it that you're making a certain amount of sales? Is it that you have a certain amount of customers on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis? How will you know that your brand is recognizable, right? And yes, it can be difficult to measure, and that's where you then put in those measurement criterion. So like I said, whether it be with like the number of customers or the number of followers or things like that. So is there anything, Lydia, that you can think of already that might tell you that your brand is more recognized? Like maybe it's that you're getting publicity, maybe you're getting press, you're in the newspaper, maybe you're on the radio, maybe you have influencers that are talking about your brand. Yeah. What do you think?
For me, before I mentioned this question, what I think on top of my mind were like if I came up with good branding and marketing strategies, so people might have a good idea of what the value of the business or the value of the brand.
Yeah.
But
I think those are great. I mean, like having a marketing strategy is definitely going to be the first step. But even with your marketing strategy, thinking about like, what does that actually mean, right? Because you could be out there doing marketing. You could be marketing all the time. You could be doing 1 post a day on Instagram. You could be doing stories every single day. You could be doing paid advertising. And that could mean that you have a marketing strategy. But if that stuff isn't then translating into customers, then it's probably not a successful marketing strategy, right?
Yeah.
So it's about kind of combining those things together. Like, is there a certain revenue target that would help you to think that you're moving in the right direction, or is it a certain number of customers? Given that you don't have a physical shop at the moment, are you just currently selling online, or are you more in the early? Yeah. Okay. And so through where? Through Instagram?
Yes, Instagram.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, for Instagram, like to to determine whether your marketing strategy on Instagram is working, you probably want to set some targets about the increase in followers or the increase of engagement. But that's all well and good, but you really need that to translate eventually into sales, right? Because you could have 10,000 followers, but if you're not making any money from them, they're not good followers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Feel free to work on that more, and then we can talk about it during the next session as well.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, great. And so Shamsa also shares some of hers. So coming up with a budget for marketing, setting strategies for marketing, searching who will create the marketing tools like ads, ways and where to share those marketing tools to expand the recognition of the business. Perfect. All right, great. Great, ladies. All right, so we're going to wrap up for today, but before we do, there's been a request from the team at EBN that we all put ourselves on video for just a couple of seconds so that they can take a screenshot of all of our lovely faces. So if you're comfortable about doing that, please go ahead and turn your videos on now. I'm going to do mine as well. Oh, so nice to see everyone's faces. Mihanta, I love the color behind you. Hi, Francis.
Sorry, Daniela, could you stop sharing your screen?
Oh, sure.
Can't see your smile once again.
Anyone else want to put their videos on? I know some of you might not want to, you're a bit shy. It's okay. Dawid, all set?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, thank you very much. Have a lovely day and weekend
Okay,
ahead.
great, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great weekend ahead. It's been a pleasure to be here with you today, and I look forward to our next session. If there's specific things that you want to have covered during these sessions or that you really want to get into greater detail on, please send an email to the team at EBN at BIC Africa so that we can make sure that we're taking that into account. As we said at the start, there may be times where we bring you in just based on the countries that you're in, so you can further develop your networks within your home regions, or we may start to do some of these sessions based on the industries that you find yourself in. So if some of you are product-based businesses, we might get you all together versus those that are service-based businesses, because some of the challenges that you face in those spaces might be different, okay? So this is your time. So really make the most of this time that we have together. Tell us what you want, tell us what you need, and then I can design something to make sure that you get that support that you're actually looking for, okay? All right, ladies, thank you so much for your participation today. I really look forward to seeing you again in a couple weeks' time, all right? Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.